Ah, okay.
This interface is like entirely new. Like I've never seen like any of this.
Oh, this?
Yeah, like I know it's not new for you. I'm
Yeah.
like I've never seen Streamlabs for.
Interesting. Interesting. Have you used it?
No,
Oh, you should use it. It's pretty good.
I don't really stream on my computer anymore.
Oh, that's good.
Well, Chromebook, but I use the YouTube. Like you can webcam stream.
That's true. You do like to use your phone. Do you feel like your phone has a good camera? Like, are you hyped about it?
Well, I just got this phone.
And so you're like,
This
yes.
phone's camera is really good.
Okay. Oh, is it the same lock screen from your other phone?
So yeah, I was able to like plug the things together.
Oh, and it just
then
downloaded everything.
I got like the Google Pixel 4a with 5G or whatever.
Same software, upgraded hardware.
Nope.
Well, upgraded
new
software.
entire. Like my last phone was like a hand-me-down smartphone. This was my mom saying, your old phone won't work anymore. They're like, if your thing doesn't do 5G, we're like cutting your shit off.
Ooh.
So I bought like a new phone. It was like a brand new, just different from my old phone entirely.
That's interesting. Are like all
I don't
companies
know.
doing that?
I have no idea. I was surprised when mom said that.
That's good. She's like, ooh, I wonder if it's a plan thing.
Probably.
If it's a plan thing, or if they're just like, nope, all of AT&T is about to gut everything. Oh gosh. Hello everybody. We're here with Jet
I should use this hand.
and me, and today we are talking about. We had actually been talking about this earlier. We were talking about how different micronations affect like social progress. We were talking about like Juneteenth. We were talking about Pride Month, and trying to go into all that. One of the things that was interesting that we were talking about a second ago, I didn't know that you could just get fucked like that if your phone doesn't connect to 5G. It'll just stop working. Like
That's what mom was telling me. She was like, if you don't switch, they're like they won't support your phone. They're like, get a new phone.
Interesting. So if anybody has plans like that or whatever, or like if their phone company entirely may be phasing that out, it might be good to look into. I don't know, but let me know. Does anybody else have like issues with that? It wouldn't be cool, but it would be interesting to find out.
Yeah.
But yeah, so one of the bigger things that I was trying to get to, which I actually, when Jet and I started talking a second ago, helped me to kind of springboard into it. The idea of like how micronations can help or potentially like hurt other like social causes and other like things because of their own interests. Like if a micronation is solely based around one particular religious group and the practices and ideas of that religious group may have specific ideas which clash with the other living and social settings of other micronationalists and what they believe is their own interest and way of living their life. So, and then vice versa. So it's a very interesting setting of like all of these different specialized groups coming together and wanting to be able to work together. One of the biggest things that's difficult in micronationalism is finding other people that can work together with you and can actually produce in a way that is beneficial for both of you. So in a lot of that, it absolutely sucks to add this other barrier, which is, and do we agree on social issues? Which I don't necessarily think has to be the case, so long as there is a base standard of like social decorum and so long as you have enough connection to just a general understanding and respect for like human rights. And I think if that can be grounded in, and if that can be set as a baseline between your two nations, what that means and your comforts in that, hopefully it can help to make people who normally wouldn't want to work together more friendly to the idea, and hopefully helping to find ways to move forward with progress despite differences.
Your stomach.
It did.
Time,
It did.
I've been speeding through your live chat,
Yeah.
and the main things I've seen are like, one guy wants to know if you still play Minecraft and if you want to join this Minecraft realm. People are like, why'd the last stream go? And there's a joke going around that like the last stream was gay, YouTube cut it off because the last stream was gay or whatever. There are a few people who are like, who's that guy that's with you? And there's PTV News has been like, Nico Vincent is the weird news guy. Weird news. Or
Weird nerd news. Or not necessarily nerd news. Because sometimes it'll be nerd news, but sometimes you'll have like comic news, right? Like, does it always say weird nerd news?
That's what it normally says. Like if I do like the big news stream, it's weird nerd news. If it's like a little short, probably not. Probably is focused on whatever the topic is.
But have you ever said like weird comic news or like something like that?
No.
I thought there was one time where I'd seen like a word, like a name interchange, and so I was like, it's weird news, but different type of news.
Maybe. I mean, I do have like more than like 5,000 videos. If you look through
That's
my
true.
shit, you might have just seen a weird comic news thing. Like that doesn't sound too unlike what I would do, but recently I haven't done something specifically named that.
Makes sense. Makes sense. But yeah. So I do want to jump in. You basically covered a lot of it with the 5G thing. I have AT&T and the 5G doesn't work. I live in the middle of nowhere. Like, bro, let me have my 4G.
Yeah.
Uh, ooh, interesting. So 5G doesn't work, but would they cut off 4? I imagine not, because they'd be like, that's the only connection we have to that community. Ooh,
I have no idea. Like, mom didn't even give me a lot of information. She was just like, new phone. Like, get a new phone. You just
Yes.
have to get a new phone.
Yeah, who does? Yeah, they
This.
dis.
Let's see.
So who? United Kingdom said. Ooh,
Congratulations, Michael Prieto Keble, for having vaccinated citizens. That's cool.
absolutely agree.
Let's see.
Let us know when you're at like a 100% vaccination rate. Hit us up if you do, or if you can't, like hit us up and talk to us about the situation.
The United Kingdom of New German said, "Yo, hit up Tiffany. Say hey."
Yeah, agree. Tiffany is not here at the moment. She's at work, but I am excited to await her arrival, and I will pass it along. I'll pass along the good wishes. I appreciate it.
Backwoods says we haven't seen Nick in a long time. I keep inviting Aiden over. I'm like, yo, come over to my place.
And this time I invited Chet over. We did last time we did a stream. We hit it up.
We did.
If y'all want to check out more stuff that I've done, it's on his channel, and vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
We're gonna do Ninja again at some point.
Yeah. I think it's a thing where most of the time, like, I don't know. If
I think if the
Having-
car situation was different, we could like hang out more.
Agreed. I was also trying to figure out if when we go to like one person or the other person's house, we rarely ever both stream. It's usually like a one person or the other person thing. We used to do it like
Where we would both stream.
Yeah.
We could. I think the thing about like the both stream is there's like spillover kind of thing. Like there are people who are like, oh, both. And I think they'd be like, oh, it's like the same thing. It's the same thing happened on like both things.
Interesting. Well, yeah, because I feel like it would be hard to have legitimately two separate streams, but they're both audio and visually like going through the same space. It'd be really difficult.
Let's see. A lot of people are just saying hey, which is awesome. I'm glad that a lot of people are saying hey to each other, which is also cool. Let's see. Oh, cool. I'm glad that Richard Taylor got their owl mark without any issues.
Hey, goodness.
Let's see.
No.
Oh, you're getting
no.
hit with ads.
Ad beats.
That's how you
Ad
get
beat.
monetization taken away.
Got it. What is having ads for?
Yeah, because the ad will claim your thing. They'll be like, they used our content.
Oh, yeah. Makes sense. Well, we scooped it. Now let me see if I can jump on.
PTB, I'm glad that 30% of your micronation is vaccinated. Backwards at 0% of my family is vaccinated. I'm sorry to hear that. My mom's like an anti-vaxxer, and I hate that. Let's see. Michael Prieto Keble said 0 of his citizens have been vaccinated. I'm sorry to hear that as well. Backwood said, I like my vaccines tested and not rushed. Well, I would like to say the COVID vaccine definitely has had testing. If anything, because it's like a big pandemic, they're able to test for it faster because there are just more people to be able to like test them on, kind of thing. I would look into it deeper because I've heard a lot of people do like the rushed argument, like, oh, it doesn't seem like safe, but just look into the research. It's much safer than you think. They're able to fast track it for reasons.
Absolutely. Well, especially because like it's such an international effort, and there's like a lot of teams working on it to try and get it out that quickly. They just have to. They just have to be like, nope, this is our one big shot to do this right now, like, and get it good. So we have to make sure it's like very, very safe.
Also to hype it, we're both like vaccinated.
Yeah.
No problems. I know. Was it the first or second shot that had you feeling a little weird?
So on the first shot, my arm just hurt a little bit, but that like wasn't a big thing. And then Tiffany got like a little bit tired. And then the next shot, Tiffany's arm hurt a little bit, and I got like tired. But after that, it was good. Like it was literally like that afternoon thing, and then the next day it was like I'm feeling better.
Ball.
Yeah.
Mine, I think first shot was like sore or whatever.
Yeah.
Second shot, I think it was just fine.
Makes sense. Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, so everything worked out. As well, we have gotten rid of basically all of the owls marks. I think there's actually one left because somebody had like double ordered and canceled one out. We now have one owl's mark left, the last in the world. Leanna said, I got my owl's mark necklace a couple days ago without any problems. Fantastic. I'm so glad to hear that, Leanna. Did it fit all right? That's one of the things I've been checking. A number of people actually got with me on the owl's mark rings and said that they were, some of them didn't fit well sometimes. So I want to make sure everybody's like fits well and is nice and works out for them. PBTV says, yo, let me test that. Test what? Test the owl's mark. Oh, to see if it is. You should hit it up. Oh no, it's this guy. It's this guy.
He'll strike your face.
He's back in the.
You never know. Interesting thumbnail.
Yeah, you like it? That's gonna be the thumbnail because it recognizes the face. It's like there.
Let's see. Aiden really likes using pink.
I do.
It's really that's good. Your like air thing. Yeah. You guys at home may not realize this.
Oh gosh.
You gotta get back to Streamlabs so you can see the chat. You guys at home may not realize this, but Aiden's keeps his house pretty hot. I would say it's hot. When I walked in, I saw you were in the suit. I was like, he's hot. You know, he's hot.
I'm actually not.
You're not?
No, I get cold a lot easier than I get hot. Yeah, I live in South Louisiana. It's muggy. It's hot like all the time. Like I used to go out in South Louisiana and like this.
Do you not sweat?
No. I like just don't. I get if I walk into like a restaurant, I'm cold. Like almost any restaurant.
That's interesting to say. Just blanket any restaurant.
No, because most restaurants have like health standards. They're like we have to keep the temperature below a certain amount because we're using food and we're like preparing food and stuff. Especially because there's a hot kitchen.
What about buffets with like heat lamps and stuff?
Again, I just think they do because the heat lamps just make it really hot. So they purposely want to like keep everybody comfortable, and so they have to run their AC a lot, especially if it's a big building. Again, not necessarily. You could go into a place that's just hot, but I feel like most of the time people who go into places when it's like warm are like bad quality. Like I don't think you go into a restaurant and they're like sweating and they're like, this is good. Yeah, yeah, I'm hyped about it.
Meat sweats.
Yeah, so unless you're like outside or something, but I think it's yeah, for me, I'm just always cold going into like restaurant or like movie theaters or anything, just places that keep it real cold. And so I just can't. I wear warm shit just on the off chance that I go in somewhere cold, and then I'm like, I'm good. Okay. Yeah. Saul says I'm also 90% vaccinated. You read that one. Backwards says 0%. They should be 100%. Put a 10 in front of that, and then get it.
Saul Ameles, shout out to him. He said the vaccines are safe and effective and proven by tests and data. Hey, speaking facts out
here. Yeah. Chelanese Parliament says 3 dislikes. Why the hate? I'm not sure. It is interesting. Saul says backwards the vaccines are safe and effective. Backwards says I don't have the HPV vaccine because I just don't think they were tested enough. Why though? It's important.
Yeah, I don't. Whenever people say stuff like that, I'm like, what did you look at? Like, what did you read or whatever that made you like be like, and like, what was your source? Like, what's the source of the thing that you like looked at? Because I know people who will just say stuff. Like, my mom will say stuff. I'll be like, where are you getting that?
Well, it's also a thing where HPV specifically largely affects like women and stuff. So like if in your like family line there's like a woman next, or if in being with someone romantically you somehow pass HPV to them, they can just develop cancers. Like it's just a big serious like life-threatening thing if someone gets it. So and has like health effects from it. So it's a lot better to just get the vaccine. Like any risk you could have from the vaccine is very, very small in comparison to the people you would be putting like at risk by not getting it.
This is one of those
Do you
weird
love them?
YouTube Premium things where it's like if you have YouTube Premium, you never have to worry about ads during your thing, but it also just isn't worth it. It's
Yeah.
just it's just to get rid of ads.
No.
So when it comes to dislikes on videos, I'll say it doesn't really matter. For a lot of times you'll get random dislikes, and if people don't tell you why they dislike it, you'll just never know. So if you guys are like, why are we getting disliked? Like, we don't know. If anything, the people hitting the dislike button tell us why you're hitting the dislike, and that's how we'll figure that out.
Come into the chat. Let us know.
Someone said earlier that cigarettes were proven safe and healthy back in the day. It's Backwoods Dweller. I see like the chat message right there. I think that was more of people just saying stuff back in the day. Like, proven sounds not accurate.
Yeah.
Maybe doctors said it. Doesn't mean it was proven. I don't know. That seems very different.
Yeah, also, I'm curious as to what their like detailed explanation for the proof was in those studies or whatever it was that claim that proof versus like today. Right. Like, I imagine it'd be a thing where it's like, you can tell the common working man feels comfort after a long day smoking cigarettes. And it's like, oh, okay, so a more chill person. And this one's like, no, you can see it affects like the chromosome, and it can like deteriorate the enzymes in your body. And it'd be like, oh, it's just a different level of information. I'd be curious.
There are plenty of like older sources for information that are just totally wrong when compared to today's stuff. Yeah. Old bestiaries would say that salamanders are like fire lizards or whatever. That just doesn't mean anything.
Yeah. Well, and then that's interesting to compare to today, because then the backwoods argument could be like, yeah, so then like nowadays, in the future they'll like disprove vaccine or whatever, but no, because like the difference in corrections and how science is changing now, it's still like advancing, but it's not as crazy a jump between like from when we were back in the 50s or the 40s to like today. It's just things are advancing rapidly. There's still a long way to go, but as far as our bodies, as far as like understanding like health and wellness and like the mechanisms that work, I don't think it's like a skyrocket of like everything's different now sort of information. I think it's trying to better and better understand the processes at work. But if you see something affects that process at large, it's not like you're then all of a sudden going to discover the exact opposite.
Tinder has this new feature called Vibes, where they ask you personality questions. Yeah.
Do you vibe with the vibes?
I think the personality question, the first one is cool, because I like superheroes and superpower stuff. And it's like, my superpower would be, but you can't write stuff in. So you have to pick from what they have. Which I guess is okay. They're just kind of basic answers. Let's see.
My superpower would be flight, invisibility, mind reading, no hangovers.
Yeah.
I feel like they're like, we needed a goofy one for all the goofy people, because stop. It's a goofy enough question.
Let's see. Mind reading would definitely be mine out of that set. Real quick, I'm reading through. Interesting. Richard Taylor said the rubber band broke, but I have a good silver chain I can put it on. Don't worry about replacing it. I think he's talking about like a product from the Empire of Aeternia.
Ooh, I'm sorry to hear about that. Yeah, it was actually like a little leather thing.
Oh, I think he's gonna get up and grab an example.
I think. Oh, I thought I was just getting a phone call. I wasn't.
Oh.
But yeah, I will grab it.
Oh, interesting. Okay, let's see. So Michael Pietro Kibble said in July, mask will not be obligatory in open spaces. I don't, like, for where? Like, for your micronation? Or for, like, a specific, like, state or city or something? That was just kind of vaguely announced. So I'm like, in what situation is that the case? But then he said, but in closed areas, you will have to use a mask. Is that for your micronation? Just curious. Let's see. Backwoods Dweller said, no, cigarettes actually have short-term benefits, but for the most part, it's placebo, and just not having as much oxygen, as holding breath is good for you. Backwoods Dweller, it seems like you're not acknowledging like the risk and addictive nature of like nicotine
Agreed.
and also lung
just
cancer.
yeah, just the deterioration of your lungs. It also affects like your bloodstream and everything. Like it's just anything it touches, and then just yeah. So this is Tiffany's. Yeah, it's a I think deer hide, like a leather sort of material.
Yeah, I will say it does at a glance look like a rubber band, but when you look at it, it does have like a fabricy like texture to it.
Yeah, and it's pretty durable. I'm sorry it broke. Like that makes me feel bad. I want to make sure our quality's good.
Now I will say, Aiden has it too low for you to see it.
Oh, that's
but
true.
he's like pulling on it, like he was like actively doing like a stress test kind of thing.
Like I was surprised it broke when you. That suck. I'm curious if it already had like a little like rip in it, or like if there was something like in the movement of it that messed it up. But, I don't know. I want to look into it. I appreciate it. Because I do always want to like make sure we're putting out good stuff. Ooh. So backwards says no sorry. Michael Prieto Keeble says, but in closed areas you will have to use the mask. Oh, interesting. And we're about to skip this ad as well.
Getting hit with ads all day, every day.
Yeah, every single moment of every day.
After every video.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see.
So Leanna said, advertising is a form of propaganda. Convince me I'm wrong. Okay, so I won't convince you. What I'm trying to figure out is, what's your definition of propaganda? Like, are we Googling the definition of propaganda and going off of that? Because I feel like you could just argue one has a specific, more pointed definition than the other, and one may be a subset within the other. Like how all squares are rectangles, but not all rectangles are squares. You may be saying like advertising is propaganda. I think it would be other way around. Propaganda is advertising. It's a specific like negative strategic form of advertising to get like a specific to get you to think of something in a particular light, like advertising does, but having a more political or potentially larger consequence description involved.
I also would be interested in like specific example stuff.
Yeah.
Like Taco Bell has an ad that's like, check out our $5 Grande Nacho Box available now at Taco Bell. Is that propaganda?
Well,
like, did you get me with the damn, my political thing has changed, $5 Grande Nacho Box?
Yeah, agreed. I think it would be the other way around. Like, political groups create propaganda as advertising for the ideas and institutions they would like to instill, but it would be weird for like a certain subsect of advertising to, in your mind, correlate to like political stuff. I'm curious if that'd be like a contextualized thing. Like, oh, but if you see all the families in that KFC commercial are white, like it's a thing where there's like a subtext of disclusion with that. Would it be something like that? Like it's propaganda based on what your perspective of life connects to, like who the people creating it are and what their setting of like who they're pitching it to is.
That's understandable.
As like propaganda.
Ryan's username used to be all art is propaganda. Like if he was here, I feel like he'd have a very strong take and that he would definitely agree with Liana. I keep saying Richard Taylor, but I noticed you read it. Liana. Okay, yeah.
But United Kingdom says, good morning, Nova Scotia. Hey, everybody is saying hi to each other. United Confederation of Silesia says, our country has created the official YouTube channel. Congratulations. Sanctimonious said good. Federation of Silesia said very. Michael said my micronation. Nathan said, yo, anyone want to start a micronational cartel? Goodness, Nathan, don't do this to people.
Gastanova said their necklace also broke, but it's all good though.
What?
Yeah.
What? Oh, man. Is it? Ooh. I'm curious if it's like a heat thing. I'm curious if it's like a mailing, like it heated up and then it got
like vulnerable.
Yeah, like it became like
brittle or
something? A little bit. Yeah, like brittle. I'm sorry to hear that. If I would have known, I would have made it out of a better material. But I will change up my thing in the future. Um,
Ooh,
what's
I
up?
want to see. FLDTTV said AP thoughts on the Chinese social credit system, which I was talking about a lot.
Yeah,
Like before they like put that in, it's a really weird way to like gamify society.
yeah,
They said they're writing an article on it, on what different nations think of it. You should make a video about it.
agreed. Well, that's one of the things that's interesting. Nathan actually is a guy who makes the Eternian show and stuff like that. I would love to see your take on it, Nathan. If you're writing an article, hit me up with it. I would love to see a video on it. Backwood says, I said before cigarettes are kind of horrible, but there were short-term benefits that they use as proof for its health. Interesting. Steven said, "What's good, y'all? Yo, my necklace broke. It's all good though." Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Steven. Yeah, again, I wanna hit it up and figure out what the issues were and how we can prevent it. I may just start doing like metal things if I do any more chains, if I do any more necklaces. Backwood says, "I'm just clarifying on why they thought they were healthy." Makes sense. The Chinese social credit system. So I know. I feel like it's it's detrimental to their society, specifically because it can remove things from someone's rights or abilities. I think um, there should be a much higher baseline set into it. Like, that you can't lose as much by being disfavorable to what their specific social ideologies are. As well, I think removing or gaining privileges based on association with a specific norm as opposed to how much you are benefiting society is definitely like a negative. I think um, even if there are certain things that are um, set as benefits or assistantships to what's actively going on in the society, I think it can be harmful that other social like norms and bases are set into that as well. So someone may be doing the things that are more objectively good, or more reasonable for people to abide by, such as potentially being specifically specifically charitable, or being a community leader or something like that. But someone's ideology and their interests and their personal beliefs, I feel like is a hard thing to reward or chastise someone for in a society, because then that sets in a precedent and a refusal to see change. So that seems difficult. Like you're trying to set in what the norm should always be. So then that'll constantly like enforce itself. And I don't think that's a good idea. I think it's interesting because Eternia has our prestige system, which I think has certain connections. Somebody brought that up a while back, to something like a social credit system, in that you get specific benefits based on what you apply for and how qualified you are for certain things. But we don't revoke that from you based on certain things. As long as you meet the criteria for the thing, you get it, and you keep it. Unless you were like to not meet the criteria for the thing. But it's not something that is meant to ever exclude anyone or pull anyone out of it. As well, like social benefits, things like being able to travel or being able to, afford, certain levels of care for yourself and things like that. Um, I don't think uh, should be on the table for whether or not that's afforded to you based on how appropriate you've lived, how appropriately you've conducted yourself or lived. Um, I I don't think that's fair at all. But yeah, what are your thoughts?
My thoughts on the Chinese social credit system have a lot to do with the flaws and exploitations of the system. I remember early on when they were talking about adopting it, they said there were things like, if you buy a lot of diapers, the social credit system sees you as like a good parent. But the thing about that is you don't have to have children to buy a lot of diapers. So
Yeah,
there are like weird exploits like that.
yeah. So you can just buy a lot of diapers. Interesting.
There's
And
also
get benefits.
Mhm. There's also the concept of like app connectivity that I think is really weird. Like they talk about how like if you game too much, it means that you're like lazy or whatever, and that could affect like your score. But I'm like, what if you leave something like Steam open?
Yeah.
Like, how are they monitoring how much you're actually gaming? Would that count against you? Would your score go down even if you haven't gamed in a while? You just have it up. Dating sites, they said we're going to incorporate social credit system stuff so that you could essentially judge someone based on their social credit score to determine whether or not you want to match, which I feel like would have that would be an interesting way to keep it enforced. It'll be like, you want wet? Not if you don't get a good score.
I think that's really sad though, because it does create that reinforcement. It's this idea that people are now going to themselves adopt internally this social credit score means something socially.
Oh, you
Like,
turned it down a lot. Or was that the volume it was up before?
I think that was the volume was up before.
Oh, okay, cool.
I'll hit it up one more knob.
I know you really like this one.
I do, thank you. But yeah, so it's a thing where I feel like as long as it's specifically like trying to elevate people in society who may not have specific benefits, that's good. But I feel like it should be on an individual basis and it should be designed specifically to help people. I think where you're starting to chastise people and set it into where like you said, there are these like social implications to it with dating sites. That makes, if you're swiping through Tinder and all of a sudden it says like this person has a low social credit score or whatever, there could be like a legitimate they could be like, I'm Muslim, and they like dropped it down really hard or whatever. So then it's this idea where it's like, okay, so now I'm reinforcing the idea that like anybody who has that and whatever reason they have for having a low social credit score is now like a different type of person to me. They're like a different class of person. So then whenever like new people come into the Chinese Communist Party who like may want to reform those things, it's like, but everybody thinks those people are bad for good reasons. Why are we getting rid of the thing that works? It pointed out all the bad people, and it's like, but why are they bad? What actually made it like a negative thing? We set these standards, and then it made our society internalize them as bad and as like a moral system, which is weird. I think that's kind of the purpose of it right now, but I don't think that should be the use of a system like that.
I mean, that is the purpose. They mentioned that the social credit system exists to establish like whether or not citizens are quote unquote trustworthy, but they have like weird definitions of what that means. Like, if you game too much or you're not trustworthy, like it's weird. I think scoring by association, I think, is one of the grossest things that's in it.
Like, if you hang out with people who have low social credit scores, then it pulls down your social credit score.
And also the concept of like, if you sign off on like you're not even the one getting a loan, but you're like talking up like somebody else. Like you're like, I trust them to do what they're supposed to do. It can like affect your score. I remember there being like a Vice like documentary or something where this guy was like, yeah, I tried to like get on like a high-speed train to go somewhere, and they wouldn't let me on the train because my score was too low, and it was because I like co-signed with a friend, and my friend messed up their thing. Like I didn't even do anything wrong, but I had to take like a multiple hour bus ride to like get somewhere that I needed to be in like a few minutes kind of thing.
Wow, that's crazy. I was gonna say, so with things like that, it seems like you would eventually get to the point where you could exclude somebody out of society entirely and make it like almost impossible for them to live. Because it could be a thing where it's like, so you can't get a job anyway, because they're like, oh, but now our entire company, like all the total sum social credit scores that we have in the company are gonna affect like what things we can get and what like how good we look as a company and how many people want to come into our restaurant. Because if you go to a social credit score restaurant, if you go to a restaurant that has a low social credit score, you could be like seen as having your associating with people with low credit scores and to drop it down. So it could be a thing where it's like there are like a lot of small businesses that just fail all the time because it's like, oh well, you weren't able to hire people with a good enough social credit score, and everybody with a good social credit score wants to ask a lot for their wage and only wants to work at places with other good social credit score. So you just exclude a whole like level of your society, and you just start ripping people who lose their social credit scores like out of existence.
I've heard the job thing is already a thing, where for like certain jobs you need like a minimum social credit score, which means it could be a situation where you could like, oh, my friend messed up, then I couldn't take the train to get to like a meeting. Not only that, but my job's gonna fire me anyways because my score's not up. Now I gotta get like another job, but I have a lower score. So like, how am I gonna do that? Also, my friends don't want to hang out because my score's too low, and I'm trying to get a new girlfriend, but my score's too low. Like, it's something where you'll like just keep losing stuff.
That's the thing that's really weird about it too, though, right? Is the idea that like, so in the United States, there's this stereotype of like people who work at like McDonald's or like fast food restaurants or whatever, and people like shit on them. But that's generally something that people see as bad. We're generally like, you never know that person's circumstances, or like you never know, like they could be like going to school for a thing, or they could be like actively taking care of a lot of people, or they could whatever. The thing that's crazy about that is the idea that China's then going, yes, good, yes, the certain people who have certain jobs are worse than other people, and that's terrible. Um,
Huh. Liliana, I would say your definition of propaganda being it convinces others to believe in something that isn't necessarily true. I don't think all advertising is like that. The Taco Bell example is like, yeah, $5 grande nacho box.
yeah,
It's like,
get it.
what is it about that that's not true? I guess you could argue these nachos aren't that large.
Or you could be like taxes.
Like, it's
Their
not just
taxes
$5.
Yeah. I guess so. But then I think you could also pull that out to like so much of anything. Like you could be like, all speech is propaganda because you phrase things specific ways as opposed to describing them exactly 100% how they happen. Like if you don't detail everything exactly as accounted, it's not true. So then it's not real the thing which necessarily isn't necessarily true.
She seems to be referring to persuasive intent. Like it's not just that you're like paraphrasing it or something. It's that like the way you're communicating it is specifically to be like, we want you to think it's like another way. I don't think she means like in an unintentional fashion, because then it's.
Well, but I'm even arguing like, so like, you hang out with a person, you and I are hanging out.
Right.
I want to get along with you. We're like making positive conversation. We're choosing and selecting the things we say based around the conversation and based around each other's interests. So that connection is in itself like trying to create a certain perception, trying to like interact with someone in a particular way. I feel like that could be described by like a lot of stuff.
So in any situation where you're putting on a particular guise so that people will see you like a certain way, can be seen. I see that. Like the whole
dating,
concept of personas.
Like dating, yeah, is a whole thing. Everything, I feel like, gets onto that. Society is like that. You know?
I mean, I guess it doesn't have to be like that. If like you yourself communicate in a very like open and honest way, and you're like, I don't really filter. I just like speak how I feel, kind of thing. It can be a very honest way to live, but also maybe be weird, I guess.
I was gonna say though, I feel like there are certain people, like if you are like everybody who lives that way is good, there'd be a lot of people who I think most people consider like assholes who would be like, yep, yeah,
That's
like,
true.
and just be like, yeah, I just like to hit people and like to like make fun of people. This shit is like, oh, that's a bad person. It's like, but they're hella honest.
I appreciate their honesty. I would rather there be a guy who's like, I like to hit people and make fun of people or whatever, and then I could, in full honesty, say, cool, I'd like to not be a part of that, and just kind of like devout, rather than to like
feel
pretend.
Like if that person was on it, it wouldn't be like hey, I like to. They just be doing it. They just be in
That's
it.
also helpful, because then I know to be like, nah, I'm not gonna be around.
So if you see somebody like just fighting people in a place and like going around just fighting people, you're like, I'm glad they were honest. I'm leaving. I'm out of here.
I prefer that than like they walk up to me and we have a conversation and then they're like, "Yo, you seem cool. You got like a PS4?" And I'm like, "Yeah, you like to game?" I'm like, "Yeah, can I come over to your place?" And then once they come over,
I
they
think
start boxing or whatever.
I think that. Well, that sounds like a robbery at that point. I think it's a whole different level of crime. They've assaulted you in your domain. Goodness. Yeah, I don't know if that necessarily. That is a form of propaganda, I guess. Somebody convincing you to let them into your house, uh, so let them into your house, so that you could rob them, or so they could rob you.
Yeah, it's like vampires.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me in so I can then get you and turn you in. That's the weird thing about vampire lore. Sometimes it's like,
You gotta be invited.
yeah, well, that and also like sometimes getting bit by a vampire turns you into a vampire. Sometimes you just die.
True.
Yeah.
Oh, you got an ad. Ryan just tried to call, but I'm like in the middle of hanging out.
Yeah. But yeah, we are probably going to go get some, uh, dinner, denaro,
Oh my gosh.
lunch charo.
This girl said, "I'm just looking for my whirlwind romance or to get my back blown out. What happens first?"
Good honesty.
Goodness.
Honesty.
Honesty.
Yeah. Um.
Let's see.
Liana said, it's like saying off-brand items are terrible, even though they may be better than name brands. Yeah, but you always want to plug your own brand. For the Taco Bell, she's like, the problem is that other brands could be just as good or better. But if you're creating the thing, wouldn't you be hype about your stuff?
It'd be very interesting if that Taco Bell commercial was like, Bandito Burrito has a similar deal.
And it's just as good.
Oh.
Whenever they hold up their competitor's item. That would be interesting. Do you think it'd be wholesome? Or do you think it'd be like, that was weird?
I think it would be wholesome, I guess, if it was a Taco Bell ad and they're like, also, you get the same thing at Bandito Burrito.
You treat them like shit. You treat them like less than or whatever. You're like, and also if you feel like helping a struggling business, Bandito Burrito has the same product. It's just as good. Help them out. Give to a local struggling business.
Goodness.
Really condescending about it. That's a Twitter beef. That's a,
Someone keeps
that's
saying 11.3 inches.
You don't understand, guys. The footlong is 11.3. I measured every single one. There's no difference in the breadth.
Let's see. Boop, 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 boop. Backwoods Dweller keeps saying weird, like, science hot takes that I feel like are inaccurate and unsafe.
Agreed. Masks are effective. Michael says if you try to blow in your hand through your mask, you cannot feel the air you blow. Got him.
And if something stinks, you can smell. I like how Backwood Dweller. I disagree with your take, but the way that you do it is like, think, Mark, think. If the mask works, how can I smell farts? I just don't think it's not meant to stop smells.
I agree. Also, smells can be like of a range of sizes, whereas like the thing that you're trying to stop in particular is like of a different thing. Vernonium says hello. Backwoods says the foot long is 11.3 inches. Yeah, and he's the same take, same all of these and 11.3 inches. Vernonium says it's measured wrong. It was measured including 0 as a number, which it should. What?
Whoa. Backwoods Dweller. You just said, Subway, we have fake bread that's actually cake and Doritos.
Accurate ad.
It's true that Subway has, like, bread that's considered cake or whatever because it's so sweet.
Mm-hmm.
I thought you were saying their bread was Doritos when I first read that, and it threw me so hard.
Yeah.
We have bread that's actually cake and Doritos, and you get a Subway, and it's like a chocolate cake with Doritos in it. Yeah. And it's like, what do you want on it?
Yeah. And then they pour on cheese that's really whipped cream and mustard that's really like fondant.
fascinating. It's just getting a cake
It's just, yeah.
with Doritos.
With the Doritos are real. Help a struggling business.
You can get the same thing at Jimmy John's.
I really want places to do that now. Backwards Dollar says I measured. Kingdom of Aeternia says I beg to differ. I measured one and it was 13 inches. Backwards says who cares? This is the same way. What?
You're the one, yeah.
They're 11.3. Actually, they're 13. It doesn't matter.
What's funny is that off-brand stuff does do the compare thing. Like if
Oh,
you get
as
off-brand
compared
cereal
to-
too, yeah,
Yeah.
no.
Well, because they're the OG. They're trying to refer to the one they're copying. They're
Well-
like, we want you to think it's.
I think it's almost to say like compare to see which is actually better.
Oh.
Like when they say it, they're like
Testing.
Yeah.
Interesting. I would really like the concept that you go out, you find a company that makes an off-brand like whatever, like off-brand Frosted Flakes, and you're like, these are like Reese's Puffs, right? And you just go really hard like a different direction, and they're just like, no, you compare to, and you go, oh, that's not what I got at all. They're good. It's not. You just confuse them. You guys should be focusing more on the Reese's Puffs.
Compare to chicken noodle soup. It's like a off-brand Captain Crunch.
Chicken soup. They're like, it goes good in it. That's all we know.
That'd be an interesting thing.
Backwards says pizza varies in size. The
That's
United
true.
Confederation of Solistas says sandwich argument. Backwards Dollar says just about everything varies in size. But the real question though, why is Taco Bell and KFC always beside each other? They're
Owned
owned
by
the same
Same company.
parent company. Yeah, Jen taught me that. Kingdom of Aeternia says next time I get a Subway, I'll measure it and tell you if I'm correct, which I am, or if you are.
Goodness.
By the way, I'm right. Backwards Dollar says thanks, I guess.
Nick.
Yeah, German says good night. Good night. You going to bed? Oh, maybe it's late where you live. That's true.
I hope they sleep well.
Agree. Good night. I was like, it's 3:16. Even if it is 3:16 where you are and you're going to bed, have a good night. Kingdom of Sanctimonious says greetings. Kingdom of Vernonium says hello. Backwood says Front Loops and Applejack fought via ads for a while.
Like they were like
interesting.
boxing. I don't remember that. I don't remember Toucan Sam being like, I'm not a fan of the apple cinnamon. That'd be weird. Do you think people would be like Toucan Sam being racist?
Ooh, that would be an interesting. That's what Applejacks keeps hinting.
Are they not the same company? Is it not Kellogg's for both Applejacks?
That's
and
how
Fruit
they
Loops?
get you. They're like, I bet you won't buy
Buy
more
both.
Applejacks. Yeah, I bet you won't buy more Fruit Loops.
Oh, it's like left Twix, right Twix.
Yeah.
Yeah. Huh, yeah, and that actually just is a marketing strategy.
And then the fucking Lucky Charms guy is like, they all hate the Irish.
They're
And he's like,
Loki
"No, no, no, no,
Charms
no."
right now. They're
Low-key
doing like
Charms?
a Marvel thing.
Oh.
Yeah, so Marvel is now in the cereal universe with like Cookie Crisp and all the other ones that crossed over. The bee
No.
from Honey Nut Cheerios
No.
also technically is just in the Marvel multiverse, whatever, because Loki can pop in to Lucky Charms.
What?
Yeah.
Gross.
Just true, just is a thing.
I just imagine now. I don't feel bad about what's the dude who's like a sentient android guy, the red dude.
Vision.
Vision. Yeah, I don't feel bad about him dying. Yeah, or I guess the Avengers too. Yeah, they like live in a cartoon multiverse with Toucan Sam. I don't.
Is Toucan Sam with the Honey Nut Cheerios peeps? Or is that... I think Toucan Sam is like Kellogg's.
Oh, so they're like those no.
Yeah, Lucky Charms I think is like the General Mills not superheroes, crap, cartoon mascots.
General Mills cartoon mascots are in the same universe.
Multiverse.
Dumb, so dumb. So dumb. And make sure you eat plenty of fiber and oats. Oh no, Thanos.
Thanos should snap away half of the like General Mills mascots or whatever.
Oh, that would be crazy if when they dropped that movie, they just didn't have the mascots on the boxes. And it's like, where'd they go? And it's like half of them are gone. No.
Goodness. Gosh, that also means it's in like the same multiverse as like Fortnite. It's like the General Mills stuff. Because Marvel's in the Fortnite multiverse.
And Rick Sanchez is in the Fortnite multiverse. So Rick Sanchez is also
in the General Mills multiverse.
I don't care about it.
All the crossovers, they're like a bunch. Yeah. You can say that almost anything is connected. Fortnite just keeps adding more stuff that makes it easier to say stuff is connected. Yeah. I was hanging out with Anthony and we connected.
And Anthony was in Fortnite.
Dark Souls, I think, to like Fortnite.
Weird.
Were we able to get it to Fortnite? Something like
crazy.
Crazy.
Same company. Yep. Everybody said goodnight. Vernonium says, I would argue sandwich discourse rather than argument. Backwoods said, ooh, Nick has an awesome beard.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Gray Mare, I believe, is a fan of food theory because they did a whole video about how Oreos are a knockoff of Hydrox cookies.
Ooh.
Straight up
them out once they went kosher. Mm-hmm. Oh, because Hydrox wasn't kosher, but Oreo was. So once Oreo became kosher, it beat him.
Something like that.
Or did Hydrox go kosher and Oreo beat?
I can't remember. I watched the food theory video when it came out. They have a new video where they're like, remember our video where we said that the Grubhub ads actually take place in the Jimmy Neutron universe? Grubhub sent us a package that just confirms that that's true.
What?
Yeah, that's what their latest video was. I was watching it before I hopped in the shower. I haven't finished it.
Are the Jimmy Neutron people on board?
I have no idea. But the thing that they sent Food Theory has stuff like, part of the food theory was like, the dog in one of the commercials, that's just like an upgraded version of Goddard. And they sent them blueprints that show like Goddard, and then it points an arrow to the dog from the GitHub thing and stuff like that.
Their lawyer, they're like, can we do this? And it's like, if we send it just to that person and we don't advertise it, but they advertise it, maybe.
We'll make hella bank. Because more people will be like, Jimmy Neutron!
Yeah. And just Jimmy Neutron people are going to be like, what? I'd be really curious if, like, you hit up the Jimmy Neutron people and be like, comment? Grubhub?
Official question mark?
Yeah. Banquos Deller says, cookie is cookie. That sounds like a Cookie Monster phrase. Anyway, y'all have a good afternoon. I appreciate everybody hanging out. We hung out for an hour. That means a lot. It helps our watch time go up. Real quick, I do have to make an announcement about the Imperial the Aristocrat board. I actually need to change this. Master Deontay is not as high up on the board as I thought. I put him in at 50 notes, but he's not at 50 notes. He's at 25. So he did move up, but not as high as we thought. We got to rearrange the board a little bit. But yeah, I hope everybody is doing well. I appreciate it. And I will see you guys soon. Last words?
Ooh, thank you guys for tuning in. Have a happy, fun day.
Thank you guys for propaganding. Support a small local business.
Loki charms.
Peace, guys.
Peace. Check it about.
And then I like to read a few seconds because sometimes it doesn't.
Cuts out like the last part or something.
Yeah, so then now I like to have this point where everybody thinks like, oh, we're watching something that's behind the scenes, but they're not. It's all pre-planned. So
this wasn't pre-planned. He didn't tell me about this until just now.
That's what he says, but he's been reading off the script this entire time in his phone.
No, I'm on Tinder.
Don't let him convince
Girl, McKinsey works at Deli Bakery.
This is propaganda.